Are you worried about the gentrification that's happening here in Salt Lake City? In this video, we're going to cover exactly what that means and some of the concerns about this. What's up, guys? My name is Cody Steck, your favorite Utah realtor. In this one, we're covering some survey results that show Salt Lake City has a problem with gentrification. This is going to be an overview of what's going on in the city and some of the concerns that are going along with that. This is going to be a relatively shorter video, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. We're going to take a look at my computer here. So this article says survey results show Salt Lake City has a problem with gentrification, and we're just going to come down here, and this is a current or a recent survey that was actually completed by the Salt Lake City Council, who commissioned this study on gentrification, and it showed a high majority of residents are troubled about how their city is changing. Gentrification is the process in which poorer parts of a city are changed due to a variety of reasons, including wealthier people moving in, improving housing, and attracting new businesses. The increase in property value often results in the displacement of original inhabitants. Now, this is really interesting because at first glance, you look at this and say, hey, that's actually a really good thing, right? If you're getting wealthier people moving in, you're improving housing, you're making the area look nicer, and you're attracting new businesses, this should be a really good thing for a city overall. I think where this comes into concern is that the people who don't own homes in these areas are going to be the most affected because they're used to renting in that area, and their rent might go from $700 to $900 to $1,200 to $1,500 per month, and they may not have the income to support that. So I think it really kind of depends on what side of the aisle you're on. Are you a homeowner? Okay, well then gentrification is probably a good thing. If you're not a homeowner, then unfortunately it's not going to be the best thing. Salt Lake City's council allocated the funding for the Thriving in Place study in June 2020 with the project work beginning in September 2021. The study was commissioned as a way for city leaders to better understand gentrification and displacement issues throughout the city. Now, this is really interesting. So jumping into the first highlight here, results of the first phase, which were recently presented to council members, show that 81% of community respondents have moderate to very high concerns about gentrification and displacement. I'd really be interested to see how many of these people are renting and how many are actually homeowners. We really see the results from the phase one work as a call to action, and I want to frame that within the understanding that the city has been doing a lot to respond to the pressure of rising rents, rising home prices, and impacts that has, particularly on the most vulnerable people in the community. Now, this is really interesting because it says, hey, the city's doing a lot. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't seen a whole lot of what the government's doing to actually fix these issues, with rising rents or rising home prices. I mean, everything that they've been doing has definitely not helped, and it's probably made it worse, right? I've personally gone through this. Trying to get permits through the city to remodel homes or to build new homes is incredibly difficult and very slow. The city is also very restrictive on allowing people to build, convert their single family home into a duplex to create another housing unit, or potentially adding a mother-in-law apartment or a casita or something in the back that could be rented out that would actually really help the city's infrastructure to help keep rents down and to actually keep home prices down as well. So this is something that's kind of interesting. Now, I highlighted that because I don't really see what exactly the city has been doing to actually help these things. So we come down here a little bit further. I want to talk to just highlight this real quick because I think this is relevant as well. The project team heard from nearly 2,500 people, with the respondents consisting of 200 students, 50 focus group participants, 70 in-depth interviews, and 2,150 survey respondents. Again, I'd love to see if they broke it down by how many people are renting and how many people are homeowners, because if you asked, only homeowners, you're going to get a different story than if you asked only people who are renting. Survey responses. So what the community said, a majority of respondents across all race and ethnicity groups reported moderate to high concern about gentrification and displacement. Of those who are very concerned, many are likely renters. Yep, exactly kind of like I've said, living with families or friends, facing an unstable living situation, or are unhoused entirely. Each income bracket expressed concern, but lower income households expressed higher levels of concern. Those earning between $15,000 and $25,000 had the most concern, with 90% expressing moderate to very high concern, and those earning over $150K expressed moderate to very high concern at 74%. So this is obvious. I mean, if you're only making $15,000 to $25,000, it's going to be hard to make a living out there. So of course, you're going to be pretty concerned about, unfortunately having your rent go up and not being able to afford it, right? So they've got this graph here. The level of concern, you can see that it actually increases pretty substantially as you go from not concerned at all over here to very concerned. In addition to that, if we actually scroll down here a little bit further, almost all respondents expressed some direct experience with gentrification and displacement at 95%, but there were mixed opinions on whether gentrification worsened a neighborhood, which is 29%, or bettered a neighborhood, which is only 11.5%. This is kind of interesting that people would draw that conclusion. However, a majority of people expressed that the city should work to prevent the displacement of people. I think that's something I would agree with. Many respondents pointed to a lack of affordable housing as well as new development as a reason for displacement or gentrification, and it said that small, locally owned businesses are being pushed out due to demolition and unaffordable rents in new businesses. This is something I found that was kind of interesting because I thought, when it really comes to like new businesses going into an area, generally what that means is there's going to be old businesses who have been there for quite a while, and maybe they're just aging out, right? Maybe it's a business that's not exactly necessary in today's day and age, and so they're going to be phased out, and unfortunately they're not going to be able to make their rent payments, and they're going to have to close down, right? So then that building goes empty, and then you get another business coming in, and maybe they're a more necessary business for that area, right? And maybe they thrive. Of course, that's going to push rents up because they're going to rent that space at a higher amount, and then that's going to feed the market and kind of determine what those rents are. So I don't know that it's necessarily fair, at least in my opinion, to say that, new businesses are causing these unaffordable rents. I think it's really the market that's determining that, and it's based on what people are buying, where they're spending their money. It's kind of just based on the community as a whole. Now, scrolling down a little bit further here, some of the project managers' key takeaways, I highlighted one here. Salt Lake is growing, and there are not enough housing units overall, and a significant lack of affordable units for low-income families. Like I talked about before, the city definitely needs to make more of an impact when it comes to, allowing builders to build smaller units. They call them micro units. It's basically like a hotel room, with maybe a very small one bedroom or like a studio apartment. The city needs to get more lax on that. They need to issue permits much quicker than they are for renovations and for new construction. And they also need to allow the homeowners in the area to build those mother-in-law apartments, those casitas, those, that housing unit above the garage, whatever it may be. They need to allow that and actually make it legal so that people can go in there and, this is going to help with the affordable housing, right? If you can provide housing for somebody in your backyard, maybe it's a small one-bedroom place, but it's only $800 a month, the homeowner wins because now they're making a little bit extra money. Plus, you're giving somebody a place to stay at a very reasonable rate. So the last thing I want to cover here on this article, if we scroll down a little bit here, is it says every single area in Salt Lake City, unfortunately, that is affordable is experiencing displacement. This means that basically, even if you're in the cheapest area already, as that area gets gentrified, unfortunately, that's going to cause a lot of people to have to move out of the area entirely, and they're going to be displaced from living in that community. So that kind of wraps up our video here. I want to actually scroll down and look at the very top comment here on this article, because I thought it was pretty ironic, and KSL allows people to comment on the video, and then it can get upvoted or whatever based on how popular it is. So Justin J here says, I don't get it. Things are run down due to the people that live there not taking care of them. Then money comes in and makes things nice. What do you think we should do? Hand it back to the people who didn't take care of it in the first place? And somebody said it's 2022, things don't need to make sense anymore. I thought that was pretty funny, but I also think it's a fair point, kind of like I talked about earlier. As there's new businesses coming in, as wealthier people are coming in, that's naturally going to gentrify the city. And just like other major cities out there that you've seen, they have gotten very expensive to live in over the years, and people are being forced to move further out, right? So that either means that you need to make a higher income to be able to afford a nicer place to stay in that area, or unfortunately you may have to make that move. So I'm not trying to necessarily pick sides here. I think that gentrification has its place. Obviously, there's going to be some people who are affected by it, and I really think it comes down to whether you're a renter, which in that case you're going to be very affected, or if you're a homeowner, you're going to be affected in a positive manner. So that really comes down to the importance of being a homeowner and being a potentially a real estate investor in this world as well, in order to come out financially ahead. So with all that said, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you're thinking about making a move here to Utah, maybe you already live in the area and you want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, reach out to me. I want to be your favorite Utah realtor, your trusted real estate resource, and help you with that upcoming move, help you with that upcoming sale, or whatever it might be. Anything real estate related, I'd love to hear from you. My information's here on the screen, and it'll be in the description box below. Reach out anytime and let's have a chat. Also, before you go, consider sharing this video with a friend or a family member who might also be interested in learning more about Utah. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.